Speaking of casually worn sports watches, Audemars Piguet released a new watch that we hadn't had the opportunity to talk about.
Yes.
There's been a lot of conversation about it in the bungalow. Shout out to the guys and gals in the bungalow.
Yes, sir.
But they released the Travis Scott Perpetual Calendar Royal Oak
Yes.
on in a brown ceramic case, no less.
Open work too.
Open
Yes.
work
Yes.
on a brown denim strap.
Yes.
First thoughts.
Okay, so I like the watch.
Okay.
I really, really do. It matches the DNA of AP, of course, being very, very tight knit with pop culture, right?
Sure.
And of course, aligning themselves with the biggest stars in, entertainment, whether that's, music, athletics, pop culture, any kind of like social figures. I think like they hit it on the nail, especially to go with Travis. I think that was like the perfect like brand ambassador for it. Where I have a little bit of a conflict is the fact that the watch is like it's almost pushing too much for it to be like a Travis watch. Like it doesn't need to be like highlighted as like Travis is Travis. Like, open work, AP, ceramic, like you did a brown, like, ceramic case, like that's dope.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Like the same as like when they did the piece unique for like a couple of other stars, right?
Well, like Ed Sheeran.
You take someone like Ed Sheeran, right? Where like the open work, it didn't specifically have like any of his branding. There was a bit of like the colorways of like his albums and like the oscillating weight and those kind of things.
I understand your point because I think like I like the watch too. I think the watch is really cool. My biggest issue with the watch was that it says Cactus Jack.
Yeah, I have
exactly.
So
yes,
those are my
yes.
beefs with it too. Like I think aesthetically the watch is cool. I think the collaboration makes total sense, especially being Francois Sandoff.
Yeah.
I would have designed it a little differently.
Yes.
Like you have Travis's font on the numbers already.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The rotor says Cactus Jack.
Yes.
Fine. It's on
Yes.
the back of the watch. Cactus Jack on the sub dial.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Get it out of here.
It just
Get it out of here. Also, you have
It made
his
it
logo,
a little too
You have his
kitschy.
logo on the moon phase too.
Exactly.
Which is a nice little quirky touch.
Yeah.
Some people
I
might
thought that
think
was
it's
great.
much. I think that's good.
I thought it was fine.
That's perfect branding. Doesn't need to say Cactus Jack visibly anywhere on the dial of
Agreed.
the watch.
Agreed.
And also, it makes it look weird. Because like, what the fuck is it pointing at?
Yeah, I don't get it.
You can't tell.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little strange.
Also, the strap. The strap is fire. That keeper with all the Cactus Jack, Travis Scott thing on it. That's got to go.
Well, it also didn't. It felt out of place because not only the keeper but the clasp was like rose gold.
Yeah.
It just doesn't like. I don't know. It was a little strange. It would have been cool to have like just a brown ceramic clasp.
Yeah.
Just for some
Like
continuity.
They do it on the bracelet. Why
They
not
do it
just
all the
on
time,
strap?
but I get it. Listen,
Also,
maybe
price point.
The price point is
It's wild.
$201,000.
Too crazy.
What is the extra $1,000 for?
And to be fair, it's also not that limited. Like they made.
No, they're doing 200
of them.
units.
Yeah.
Like,
Obviously over the course of time, but there'll be 200 units available.
you have to think there has to be less all black or all blue ceramic.
I mean, they're
perpetuals out
allocating
there.
a huge,
Yeah.
porch
But
chunk
those
of
cost less.
their production
and
to
they're
that
on
watch.
bracelets.
Yes.
That doesn't make sense.
But overwhelmingly, it seems like the reception of this piece is positive.
Yeah.
It is a hype watch.
Yes.
AP is in a space where they are really hyped up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really did appreciate, though, because there's been a lot of debate about the future of AP and where they're going as a company. And I was talking to someone just the other day who walked into AP Boutique, and they were talking about Francois departing, and I think there was a comment sort of like, maybe we can get back to our roots. And I think that's some of like the feedback that I'm not enjoying.
Yes.
Is that there's somehow this relationship with Travis Scott sort of cheapens the brand. And the reason why I wanted to mention that is because friend of the pod, shout out to Ben Clymer. We can say that now.
Yes.
Flex. But he just did an interview with Francois, which I
Yes.
thought was was fantastic.
One of the best talking
and
watches.
it was really, really good. And one of the things that I took from it, you know, because Francois had been with the company for something like 30 years.
Yes.
They were not selling watches before Francois.
They were not.
So what are you going back to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going back to a brand that no one cared about? They couldn't sell Royal Oaks.
They couldn't.
No. As a matter of fact, he even talked about they considered discontinuing the Jumbo.
Yes.
Well, John got a Royal Oak at a discount.
Crazy.
John got a blued out Jumbo at a discount.
Wild.
Yes. And I love the fact that, you know, they spoke to both, like, you know, Mr. Biver, and they also spoke to, you know, Francois, and their reactions to AP was that the brand was nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was nothing.
And in the interview, he talks about, he's like, I don't know how I'm going to sell this brand. He was going up to authorized dealers and begging them, please take a watch. He said if they sold, something like 3 or 4 watches in a month, incredible.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
now they can't keep them stocked.
Yes.
So, you know, I think, obviously I get it. I think a lot of the frustration is caused by watches not being available now that they're in demand.
Yes.
But I think, you know, if there's anything that, you know, is sort of the thing to take away from this Travis Scott release, it is Francois's contribution to the watch industry and to Audemars Piguet.
Yes.
And I think it was, you know, whether you love the watch or not, it was the perfect send-off for someone that had a vision to marry haute horology with popular culture.
Yes.
And to leave releasing a watch with one of the biggest pop stars in the world.
Yes.
And just, that's crazy expensive.
Yes.
I think it's, you know, listed now in the secondary market for like $450,000. It's like insane.
Nuts.
Right? And he literally did a mic drop at the event. And it's just like, you know what, my man? Salute you.
Yes.
Salute.
One thing that I found to be very, very interesting, right, when they, you know, when they talked about in the Talking Watches interview, when they spoke about Arnold Schwarzenegger not wanting to be a part of AP unless you brought in Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Which was like so weird because you would say like Arnold wanting Muhammad Ali to be involved, right? When Muhammad, of course, is like, you know, especially throughout his career, he's been a bit of someone that people just like, you either love him or you hate him.
For a while, he was a controversial figure.
Very, very controversial. And so when, you know, Francois took this leap of faith to go ahead and say, listen, you know what, I'm actually going to put these two stars together.
It laid down the blueprint and the foundation for what AP would become in the future.
So why not have Travis?
Of course.
And for those that aren't familiar with the history and the DNA of what AP has built, I think people should probably do a little bit more homework.
Yeah, I think they should. Listen, now, if you want to have a conversation about all these Marvel releases, that's a whole nother topic. I would love to have Francois sitting on the couch with us so we could get into that and discover what the motivation might have been internally about that. But, you know, speaking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Muhammad Ali situation, I mean, just, you know, to understand the value that exists there.
Yes.
With these two guys from different backgrounds, different fields of work, but understanding that these are still two pop cultural icons.
Yes.
Heavyweights.
Yes.
Right? And it worked.
It worked.
Yeah, I mean,
It worked.
Look what he did with Jay-Z too.
Exactly. Same
Jay,
thing.
Muhammad, Arnold, Serena.
All
LeBron.
of this laid down the foundation for Travis Scott to
Yes.
be able to do this. And this is sort of like the summit of all of that. I don't know if they haven't had a bigger artist than Travis Scott to do something like this with. This is their biggest moment in terms of like brand ambassadorship and a collaboration. I don't think that this is, I mean, so this could also be, you know, one of those moments where it's setting a blueprint for the future and what's to come from AP. Who knows what we'll get in the future.